Before we turn to Romans 14 to look at what the Bible teaches about how Christians are to interact when we have disagreements, one thing that we need to consider is two virtues that the Bible teaches us are necessary for each Christian to possess to disagree well. Those two virtues are love and wisdom. Love and wisdom. Love is the posture of your heart towards the person you're disagreeing with. If you do not love the other person you're disagreeing with, you're not going to be very productive in that conversation, and actually you're not going to be able to understand their position well, and therefore not be as persuasive in your own argument. If all you're doing is just overcoming these straw men, you're not actually able to understand their perspective, then people are going to stop listening to you. So you'll actually be more persuasive and effective of arguing for your position if you can love this other person and listen to their argument well. It'll make you more sympathetic, and it'll soften and change your tone and how you disagree. Paul tells us very famously in 1 Corinthians 13 that if we have the ability to discern all mysteries and we have all knowledge, but we don't have any love, then it's pointless. It does not matter at all for God's kingdom. If you know everything, if you're right all the time, if you can just dominate every argument, it doesn't matter at all if you don't love the people that you're agreeing with. It's not like God is really counting on your intellectual prowess or your debate skills for his kingdom. He's looking for people who are humble and submissive to him, friends. So if you lack love, you're not doing anything for him. John warns us very strongly in his letter. He tells us, if anyone says, I love God, and hates his brother, he is a liar. Those are strong words, friends. Our love of our brothers and sisters in Christ is not optional. If we claim to be a follower of Jesus Christ, we must love everyone else who is a follower of Jesus Christ, or we're liars. I think in Ephesians 4, this is why Paul is telling the Ephesian church why they need to speak to one another in a certain way. In Ephesians 4, Paul is talking about what the church should look like. In the first part of the chapter, he's talking about how the church needs to be united with humility, with patience, with an eagerness to maintain unity. And then he talks about how God grows his church. And he talks about how God grows his church through sending pastors to train the church up so that the church will then care for one another by speaking the truth in love. And I think he tells us that we need to speak the truth in love because it's tempting for Christians to speak the truth to one another without love. But he tells us in Ephesians 4 that if we speak the truth in love, the body will then grow. So if you are speaking the truth, but there's no love, the body will not grow. It's like an engine that doesn't have any oil in it. The gears are moving, but the engine's going to destroy itself because you do not have love there. The body will not grow without love. And that's a serious thing for us to consider. I think if we do not have love in our disagreements, then we run the risk of becoming what the New Testament describes as the quarrelsome person. Paul repeatedly, over and over and over again, warns the churches and specifically the young pastors he's training to watch out for quarrelsome people. People who just love to argue. People who just want to fight. Paul actually warns Titus in chapter 3 simply to have nothing to do with divisive people. He actually says that Titus needs to enact church discipline over someone who's being divisive. Divisiveness is that seriousness. So if we're trying to disagree with one another, which Christians are going to do, we're going to look at that, Christians are going to disagree, we need to have love. Otherwise, we become the quarrelsome person who's under the danger of what Paul advises church discipline. So this is very serious. So the virtue we need love. It's going to help us understand the different people better, and it's going to temper our heart, soften our heart, so that we can see these people rightly.